Okay, you guys, there is a new movie coming out this week called Tripped Up. It's on video on demand. It's in theaters. You got to check this out. All the information will be on the show notes. Basically, it's about an aspiring chef, Lizzie, who sets off with her three best friends to compete in this prestigious saucy food festival. So, like, it's this madcap road trip, but it's amazing because it's not about like boring white guys on a road trip like myself. It is really funny, heartwarming, all the things. I need to sneak it to my young niece. It's perfect for her, and I know I have a lot of young female listeners, so I think you guys are going to dig this movie so much. But I got a list of people that I could talk to this movie, and Judy Gold is in this movie, and I leapt. I was like, Judy Gold? If you know Judy Gold, by the way, she is one of the best stand-ups that we have, and I have watched so much Judy Gold over the years. Now, this movie has a SAG interim agreement. I am a proud SAG-AFTRA member, so we are allowed to talk about this movie. Now, we cannot talk about the 3 billion other projects that Judy has been involved in because of that agreement, but she has the most fascinating life story, her stand-up, her book, which I actually just bought the audio book and have been listening to it over the weekend. And with times that we're in right now, it is the perfect thing to listen to, which I will put that on the show notes as well, on top of her podcast, Kill Me Now with Judy Gold. She did the most beautiful episode last week, a solo episode that kind of cleared things up in my mind and actually added to my reading list. I highly recommend you check that out as well. On top of this movie, Tripped Out. But ladies and gentlemen, to me, a legend, Judy Gold. Thank you so much for being here.
That means I'm old, Ryan. Do you know what the most shocking thing you said was? That you have a lot of young female listeners. What?
Yeah, man, it's. I don't believe it myself, Judy. That's what they tell me. It's. Please don't describe to people what I look like.
Oh, I won't. And I'm sure they can Google you, and then you'll have less.
Oh,
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Okay, guys, it was good talking to Judy.
Take
what
care.
a legend. Bye-bye. Okay, so this movie, first off, we need more chef. It's Chef Missy, correct?
Yeah, Chef Missy. Yeah.
Angry Chef. We need a spin-off movie of Chef Missy in the Tripped Up cinematic universe.
You know how, whenever I get a part where the person is... Wait, what are the words I'm not allowed to use on this podcast?
I think you can use any words.
Really?
Yeah, this is I curse up a storm. It's
okay.
It's completely.
So Missy is a big cunt. Okay, and I bet that wasn't
nice.
what you were expecting. Okay.
Yeah, no, I was not. That's
yeah.
great.
All right. No, she's such a bitch, and whenever I get offered parts to play a bitch, I love it because I know I am so not a bitch, and I cannot, like, I know so many horrible people from my life and from this business, and it's so fun to be able to play that character because it's not real. But yeah, so Chef Missy is a terrible, miserable person. And it's fun. It's fun to play that. And I love that it's like a buddy film. I like what you said, that it's a buddy film and it's young women. And you know what? I hate to tell you this, Ryan, but women are way more interesting than men. Okay?
Oh, I know that. I completely
Okay.
agree. No arguments here. Completely.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's such a, and you know what? We need movies like this.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's what I was watching it yesterday, and I completely disassociated from all the horrors of the world for an hour and 35 minutes.
Right.
And to me, that's what this kind of movie should do. That's what, to be able to get a laugh, to be able to watch a little adventure that kind of takes you out of the order of things right now.
Right. And just let you forget for 90 minutes that the world is coming to an end.
Yeah.
I have to say, working with these young women, it was so wonderful. They're just, people with their whole future ahead of them seem to be in a better mood than I do.
So hopeful.
Than I'm in. Yeah. But yeah, they were just so wonderful. And I love the passion of the writers because, she's a chef. She's not, this is a passion project. and it was so female heavy. The whole the crew, and it was just, it's an empowering movie.
Yeah, no, I mean, and also legend Vanessa Williams is in this.
I
mean,
know,
she's a producer,
and her daughter's in
Vanessa
it.
Williams.
Yeah.
Oh, that's her daughter?
Yes, really unattractive. The really unattractive one. I mean, what is with those jeans? Seriously.
It's disgusting.
I know. Here's
angry.
the thing, Ryan. I was just telling someone this the other day. I am so sick of people who are really talented or skilled and good looking. Like, it shouldn't be, you can't, like, these athletes that are like really like amazing athletes and they're good. Like, that is just not fucking fair. It's not fair.
No, I mean, like, look at Brad Pitt's career. Like, a good actor, but, like, you guys are so much more willing to go there for Brad Pitt because he's extremely good looking.
Right.
And it's like, do you know how, like, average-looking people like myself go through the world? Like, it is what, but then if you're good-looking, it is just so much better for you.
But,
we cannot...
but when you're that good-looking and you're also, famous for something else, do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know? Like... it's fucking annoying.
And that's all I do at night now is just scroll like TikTok and Instagram and just get angry on top of anger,
Right. Oh,
looking
please.
at all these beautiful people.
I can't. And you know what? It's like I get up and I try, I like to read in the morning and I look at my phone and it's a fucking vortex of like, why don't I just kill myself right now? Okay?
Yes.
This one's relationship is perfect. Their kids are perfect. Everything is perfect. They're gorgeous. They're rich, And then, it's all bullshit. So, that's what happens.
But my therapist is always like that compare and despair thing. I'm like, you're not going to stop that. Like, stop comparing and despairing. You're not going to stop that. Lock me in a cell or something. Take away my phone.
Right. It's unbelievable. And in this business, like, and then these comics just, here's where I'm performing. And it's like every day, I'm going to be at this theater and it's sold out. We had to add a show. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay, all right. Well, I'm 60 and I'm going to go to the diner and get some coffee. Okay. But yeah.
Is it true you got into stand up on a dare at Rutgers?
Yes. I was 19 and my Secret Santa dared me to do, and that was the first time I did stand up. And it was on my dorm room floor in the lobby. And I made fun of everyone who, that was my assignment, to make fun of everyone who lived on the floor. And I did that. And when I got that first laugh, I had an out of body experience. I couldn't believe it. I'm like, oh my God, this is... And it's so funny because I'm going through all my shit here and I am cleaning everything out and all my kids' crap, and I found this program from 1984 and it was me at Rutgers at the Ledge, and I'm doing this campus comedy thing with all these people from Catch a Rising Star, and it has a little bio that, this is her, her roots, and she's a Rutgers student, and she performed at Catch a Rising Star first in August of 1982. And I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe how long I've been doing this.
I mean, you've been on like an insane journey. That's what I was wanting to know. Of like, when you first got up there that dared night with the Secret Santa, could you ever have possibly fathomed doing stand up, yet alone going into the Tripped Up? Like, could you even have? There's no way you could have even imagined the journey that you took.
Well, the interesting thing was, is that I knew I wanted to be a performer. I was a music major. I really wanted to be Carole King, but that wasn't happening because there's only one Carole King or Carly Simon. But, but I wanted to perform, and I'm so tall. I was 6 feet at 13. I'm probably about 6'2" now because I shrunk. But I was 6'3". I'm probably like 6'1.5". I'm getting my knee replaced on November 20th, and I'm getting an inch back, I think. But anyway, because one of my legs is bent. But and you need to know this, because
Yeah, you guys,
have
I hope
young
we're
female listeners and they need to know what's up.
geez.
But anyway, so I wanted to be a performer and I was constantly rejected. Like, oh, you're too tall to play this. You're too tall to play that. I even auditioned for graduate school. And Bill Esper told me, you're very talented. You have impeccable comedic timing, but how do you expect me to cast you? You're too tall. And of course, my mother was like, "You'll get him. He'll see. He's gonna get his." And so, when I got that laugh, it was like a gift from God. Like, oh, I never felt like that about anything. Like, I was like, it's like an epiphany. Like, and most people do not know what they're meant to be, or if they love something, they don't know how to make a living doing it, and so I went on this journey. I graduated college, but I did take a lot of acting classes all through the years. And I mean, I look at my old notebooks. I was on stage. I would perform anywhere, anytime. I just wanted to be a great comic. And to this day, I get on the subway at 60 years old with my notebook, going down to the Comedy Cellar to try out new material, and I'm just as excited as I was 40 years ago.
That's what I wanted to know. Like, is the fire still there? Like your book, Yes, I Can Say That, which I'm going to link to, and I thought amazing. I was just wondering, this appreciation, it obviously is still there, but that fire to be up there in front of an audience to get that laugh like you first did, it's there still on a daily basis.
Still, and it's funny because so many of my cohorts who became movie stars or TV stars and don't do stand-up anymore are like, oh, I can't wait to not have to do stand-up. They're like, but you're out of your mind. I can't believe you still. I just love the art form. I love it. It's so and it's, first of all, it's a live audience. Okay. It's live. It's happening there. And there's no fourth wall. So whatever's happening is happening. You don't know you have no idea what the audience is going to be like. It's thrilling in a way. But the most thrilling part for me is when I write a new bit and I bring it on, because look, it's the only art form, and I say this in the book, where the audience is the vital part of the creative process. So everyone is seeing a work in progress. You see us do our work. It's not like, Monet is, painting something and then brings over a bunch of friends. Is like, what do you think? You like the tree there? The sun, what do you and
am I doing good? Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. What direction do you think I should go in? I mean, it's so risky in that way because, you look at all these people like Lenny Bruce, it was his birthday the other day, and George Carlin, Joan Rivers, all these people who broke down these barriers and who, Lenny Bruce and George Carlin, they were arrested. So we could get up there and say whatever we want. And so the hardest part now is that the audience, we don't know where the line is. Like George Carlin said, I like to find out where the line is, cross it deliberately, and make the audience glad that I did. And the audience doesn't realize we're finding the line with you. So when we cross it, you can't fucking turn on us. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a high wire act. You're watching
right. And then they're like, oh my God, she said that. And it's like, okay, you're allowed to be offended. You're entitled to be offended. Like my friend Eddie Sarfati says, it's the first quote in the book. Going to a comedy club and getting upset that you got offended is like getting on a roller coaster and getting upset you got scared. It's the reason you go.
That's the bit, yeah.
But it's also, what do you do with that? So you're offended. Can you move on with your life? Or do you have to then destroy that person because you felt offended? It's like, it's beyond. And when you take the comedian's intent out of it, it's like, well, I took it this way. Well, that's not the way I meant it. Well, too bad. No, too bad for you. Like, you can critically think. You can go, oh, well, she didn't really mean it like that, but I'm going to take it that way, and I'll never go to her show again. It's beyond.
I used to think acting was like, I was a trained actor, and I used to think, oh, we always were told like it holds a mirror up to society. That's what acting does. That's
Right.
what good acting does. But lately in the last decade, I was like, it's stand up. Stand up is the true holding a mirror up to society when it's done right. And you talk a lot about that in your book and on your podcast and in interviews I've watched of you. And I think, how do you approach even these times when it hurts sometimes to laugh, or you don't even want to go out and laugh because there's so much pain out
Right.
there. Like, how do you even approach that as an artist and working on your craft? Also, on top of that, being a Jewish woman, like,
Right.
how do you approach that in these days, in these times?
This past week was one of the most difficult weeks to perform. And I did it because, I mean, I'm so experienced, so I know how to handle this, but I did talk about what was going on. I know how to get an audience back from, I know I'm skilled. And so, and I couldn't not, you always have to talk about the elephant in the room. But, it's the DSM, which is the mental health, whatever book, says,
Yeah.
you said humor is the highest adaptive defense mechanism and coping mechanism, according to the DSM. Comedy is and laughing and is soothing. It is the best medicine, but it's also a weapon, and you have to use it in a very careful way. And as you think about comedy as a weapon, and the reason why we are always on a tightrope is because we tell the truth. We are truth tellers. There's a reason when you watch these, shows of all these pundits, and there's always a comedian there, because the comedian is going to call out the bullshit and disarm the people with a joke. Come on, John, the blah, blah, okay, and like, we know how to disarm. And fascists don't like to be disarmed, and that's why they are humorless, like Donald Trump, who couldn't even go to the White House Correspondents' Dinner.
I know. Wasn't that-
We have 40 years I've been doing this, 40 plus. Every single president was fodder.
Even Bush.
Didn't matter what side
Yeah.
you were on. 2017, I'm doing jokes, I mention his hair and they fucking freak out, you liberal C, but it's, we're losing the subtitle of the book is When They Come for the Comedians, We're All in Trouble, because honestly, when you silence humor and satire, that truly is the end of free speech, because our goal is to make you laugh. That's what we're trying to do. And fascists, comedians are killed in other countries. It's, these people don't understand.
I mean,
and
Zelensky started off as a comic in Ukraine. He was on like a Daily
he
Show
was a
type.
comedian.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't think that's an accident either. I mean, he's such a good leader. He knows how to communicate. It's amazing. And Mark Twain said, "Under the assault of laughter, nothing can stand." And that is why people like Donald Trump cannot, want SNL investigated, I mean, who does that?
But to me, that's inherently funny. Like, that is so, I mean, it's scary, but it's inherently funny of like, SNL, you're going to investigate Colin Jost? Like, what,
Right.
really?
Right, because you're insulted. But this is right out of Hitler's playbook. When, I don't know if people know this, but when in the 30s, during the rise of the Nazi regime, go watch Cabaret. It was the comedians and the cabaret performers that were telling the truth on stage about what was really happening. And that weakened the propaganda. Because great comedians make you laugh and think, but it would weaken the Nazi propaganda. So in 1934, Hitler passed the Treachery Act, which made telling or listening to an anti-Nazi joke an act of treason, punishable by imprisonment or death. I mean, this is how insecure, cowardly these people are. But you should also know that a year before he passed that was when they started banning books. And we're banning books in this
isn't that
country.
wild?
This is fucking
it's
ridiculous.
Wild. I mean, it really is such a crazy time, and that's why I do find it important for people like you that actually make me laugh about things that actually horrify me.
Right. But that's the only way. Like, comedians think in joke. Like, we say shit to each other that, if we said, we call you people civilians, but if we said them to civilians, they'd be like, oh my God. Even my girlfriend, Elisa, is like, really? Oh my God, that's hard. I go, it's not horrible. It's hilarious. Stop it. Gilbert Gottfried. I used to have these conversations with him, and I talked to him a lot when I was writing the book. And he said to me, what I don't understand is, you say something, right? And your involuntary response is to laugh. And people are literally going, oh, right, no. Stopping themselves. They're laughing and then stop. He said, why would you stop yourself from laughing? It doesn't make you a bad person. It's, babies laugh.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely
part of the human condition.
Yes, it's all about the human condition. Really quickly, I wanted to go to Tripped Up again really quickly, just to remind everybody that you can get this streaming on Amazon, Apple TV, or on demand, video on demand. And like I said, I'll put that all in the show notes. I did want to mention the acting, though, because I saw you, and you do. It's a scary character in a sense. You really have this gravitas about you, where I was like, oh shit, I'm scared of Judy Gold right now. Like I literally had that.
So not scary.
I literally am like, oh wow, and then I was like, I wonder if Judy Gold's a nice person in real life. I got nervous almost for today.
Oh, good. I love you. That means I'm a good actor.
Yeah, well, that's what I really was impressed when you brought up Bill Esper, because my college professor wanted me to go to grad school to Rutgers to study with Bill Esper, and called me a sellout for going to Los Angeles instead. But I remember, because it's Meisner and all of these acting things. But that's what I was like, oh wow, you really do have an acting background, because I was so curious of how a stand-up approaches being you're cast in so many things, but it really, I was like, oh my God, you're an actor too. You are a studied actor.
Right. So I've taken so much, technique and I've done private, I've done, scene study, audition, I started taking acting classes in college. And then when I was doing stand-up, I was taking acting classes during the day, because I wanted to be able, because it's a skill. Like, people don't understand. It's so hard to be. And if you're doing stand-up, you're not listening, you're talking. And the whole key to acting is listening. Like, you're not just saying the lines, you're responding to something. You're, in a character. I just love doing acting roles that are the opposite of me, so that people can see, oh, she's not just this loud Jewish lesbo who's angry all the time. So, I've done Shakespeare in the Park.
When I was here, I saw how many things you had done, and it blew my mind. But I think I was under this impression of it's that stand-up that obviously is so talented at stand-up that they give this person roles because people just really like to watch this person, and not realizing you do have a complete training background, like a trained actor. And I thought, wow, how does that inform the stand-up, even though you say you're not listening in stand-up, but you're listening to the audience?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I should say responding in a way, but I am also doing that too. But I think the acting background, it help. First of all, being a stand-up, I should say, feeds into the acting, because I am so comfortable on a stage. So that is that whole idea of there's an audience there, which, you'll rehearse and you'll rehearse and you'll rehearse, especially in theater. And then the audience is there and you're like, oh my God, but I don't have that. I get so excited. The fact that I'm one step ahead, because I'm so comfortable up there. But the acting, you're so invested. It's such an investment, that you have to do the work. You have to do the background of the character, the the intention of the character, what's their objective, how are they physically, how do they talk, what did they think, what happened 5 seconds before the scene happened, like there's so much of that. And I think those intricacies also apply to jokes, because the more specific you are in a joke, the funnier it is.
Yeah, no, I mean, and how has your perception, or even in your act, I was just, from you starting off in the 80s to now, like,
oh God,
I mean, do you go back and listen to yourself or watch yourself, and like how you've now, do you approach comedy any differently now, and how has comedy changed?
Oh
I
God,
mean, you talk about this in your book.
That is 20 more podcasts, but
okay, you guys, next week we're going to have Judy back on.
I'll be, it's now the Ryan and Judy show. So bad, it's bad. It's so interesting, because there's so many layers to that question.
Yeah.
Comedy has changed so much. And sometimes in a good way, sometimes in a bad way. But mostly in a bad way. No, I'm a woman. There were women that came before me, who set the stage. Joan Rivers said in an interview that when she was a little girl, she went to see Lenny Bruce. She wanted to be an actress, and she went to Barnard, and she really wanted to be an actress or an actor. I hate using the word actress, but and she, a friend of hers brought her down to Greenwich Village to see Lenny Bruce, and she was like, he's telling the truth on stage and making it funny, And that's where she realized, oh, I want to do this. And she said when she was a little girl, there were no female stand-up comics she could point to and say, that's what I want to do. And so the fact that I had these role models like Toady Fields and Joan Rivers, and there were others like Moms Mabley. I loved her. There was a handful. Phyllis Diller. And then you get to the 80s where there's this boom and there's so many women comics, but the shit that we were dealing with, the misogyny, the going on the road. I used to have to go on the road. First of all, we never got to work together, ever. There would never put more than one woman on a show.
So like Ellen and Rosie and you weren't in the same comedy
never.
club. Yeah.
Never. They wouldn't, if they had a woman on the show, it was one. And you're on the road with these guys, sometimes living in these disgusting condominiums. It was hell. And they would, a lot of times, I remember calling clubs in the 80s, and I'd say, hi, I'd love to work your club. I just did this TV show, and I worked here, and I did that. And they're like, yeah. Well, we had some females headlining here. We had one about 3 months ago. She didn't do well. So right now we're not hiring any female comedians. You might want to check back. I'm like, oh, because all the men that went on your stage killed. They killed. No one ever had a bad, it was fucking unbelievable. And the way you get introduced is, our next act is a woman. And I would just, it got to the point where I just gave it right back to them. And I was like, that was a guy. He has testicle and balls, and he hasn't done, he has testicles and balls. That's great. He has a cock and balls, and he hasn't done his laundry in 3 months. And so... And all I wanted to do was be a great comedian. So I really, and I'm gay, so I wasn't fucking any of the guy comics. I didn't want anything from them. And so I really gained a lot of respect. But it has been, and then I came out. I came out in 1996 after my first son was born. And I came out on stage as a gay parent. But I had already been working in the mainstream clubs. And I already had an HBO special, and I was on a series. And that really changed the trajectory of my career coming out, because it wasn't, 1996 was not, people were not out. But I have to say, what the greatest part of it is now when people come to my show and they're in their 30s or whatever, and they're like, oh my God, this woman just came up to me in Baltimore. I used to go in my basement and watch your stand-up because I knew I was a lesbian, and here you are talking about your family and everything. And and she said, I came out right before my bat mitzvah to my parents, because I want, and so those stories of these people who felt represented, those are the greatest stories. But now I go into clubs. We have trans, non-binary, we have and they just, it's not even an issue. I mean, I remember people would walk out.
Stand up. Yeah.
People would walk out. People, there would be a shift in the audience. Like, wait, what? I didn't know. You like, I'm still funny. I'm still the same person. But I have to say, coming out as a gay parent made it easier because people were more comfortable hearing about me being a mom than me, like, having sex with my girlfriend, which
Isn't
wasn't
that wild?
happening at the time anyway. So.
I mean, when you actually did come out and you said it potentially affected your career in certain ways, but then you get to actually live your truth. You get to open up
I couldn't live with myself
in a whole other way. That's what I was wondering. Like,
right, because like I have this, like how I'm like these people that are in the class. I couldn't understand it because here I have this young child who I want to be proud and proud of their family. What kind of message is it? Like, listen, we don't talk. Mommy doesn't talk about this on stage. And why? And you see through the eyes of kids, like, they'd be like, why can't you get married? It's so stupid, and you see this innocence of that makes no sense. And you realize you have to be a voice.
Yeah. No, I mean, completely. You mentioned George Carlin earlier, and I just watched a documentary on him, HBO one that was great. But
Did you see me in it?
Yes, I did see you. I didn't know if I'm allowed to mention that, but yes, of course. I've seen you you're in everything.
Oh,
but it talks about these, the periods of time where his career wasn't going well and those shifts he had to make in those years. And I was like, you were just talking about that and it reminded me of those shifts in careers. I mean, you're a 2-time Emmy Award winner.
Oh, it's for the Rosie O'Donnell show.
Rosie O'Donnell show meant something to me.
Oh my God, that was the great. I have to say, I am very proud of those Emmys because we all worked so hard on that show. And I say this often, if the people, I mean, that show changed television. It changed the way daytime TV.
Yes.
And people, it was a phenomenon. And I remember we were all a bunch of misfits and gays and theater kids, behind the scenes. And I remember always thinking, if these people in Middle America who love this show knew that we're all a bunch of weirdos and gays, what would they do?
Yeah, I mean, that show meant a huge deal, and I was a theater nerd, and I was just like, and you did like 500 episodes or something insane like that. But
what about Rosie, what she did for Broadway, bringing Broadway to
that was my first trip to New York was like coinciding with her always talking about Broadway. I remember her talking about Rent on Broadway and like her favorite things. And it opened up. I was like, wow, that really exists out there. This big, huge town that seems so scary. Like there's people out there existing.
Yeah.
But in terms of these, like, phases of your career and like, mixing in acting with stand-up, you're obviously in the new movie Tripped Up. You're in another movie, which we can't name, which is a beautiful movie.
Oh, I love that film too. Yeah.
Really, really beautiful. And you guys look her up on IMDb to find out the name of that. And, but what is in the future? How do you even plan things? Is it like by the seat of your pants? I feel like you're always in demand.
I have no work next year.
Kind of
oh my God.
Vision board? You don't have like Joan Rivers always had that little thing.
Oh my God. I saw that documentary with Joan. It was a small screening thing.
You saw it with Joan?
Yeah, she was there. And it gets to the part where she opens her calendar and Elisa, my girlfriend, is like, nudging me. That's you. That's you. I just got off therapy. I'm like, I don't have any work next year. I have no work.
Yeah,
but I'm not
this is all blank. This is all blank.
Yeah, it's all blank. But I've been through this. It's like, I can't tell you how many years I have gone through this where I'm like, it's like, well, something will come up. And I'm always in the back of my head, well, what if it doesn't come up? What if it doesn't come up? But I chose this life. And I wouldn't have it any other way, but it's really, you are flying by on the seat of your pants and people are always like, you're a rich white. I'm like, if you only knew, I 2 kids, I was a single mother for so long. No, please, I'm a woman.
I mean, do you have another one woman show in you?
Well, this book, yes, I can say that.
Yeah.
Was in April. We did a one-person show at 59 East 59. It was directed by B.D. Wong.
Oh,
and and I wrote it with my friend Eddie Sarfati, and it was very well received. We got a great review in the Times, so many great reviews, and it was so interesting because each review sort of was talking about another part of the show that it really hit people in so many different ways. And B.D. Wong is the most amazing director. I can't even tell you. And so we're going on tour. We're going to go on tour next year.
Oh, amazing. Yeah. Will you be in Los Angeles? Probably,
yes, hopefully.
Right?
Yes, we're talking about it. Yep.
I know you did one of your shows at the Geffen, I remember, back in the
Love
day.
That, yes.
So great. But that's so exciting. I was wondering, in terms of the movie Tripped Up, which has a SAG interim agreement, that's why we're allowed to mention it and talk about it. But since the strike has been going on for now a great length of time, that's taken you away from certain opportunities and stuff.
Oh,
or
yeah,
do you look
everyone.
At it as, but yeah, I mean, obviously, but do you look at it as like, okay, I can put more into stand-up, I can put more into my personal life? How do you view it?
Because I'm in the Writers Guild as well. I always say to my manager, I'm so lucky that I'm a stand-up because so many people cannot work, cannot do their craft, and I can. All I need is a stage and a microphone, and we have no union, which kind of sucks, but.
Could you imagine that? A stand-up comedy
They
union?
tried to do it in the 80s and 90s, and it just didn't work.
They gave him the red light.
But it would be so, hey now. They just, health insurance, all these issues that we don't have that. We don't have, it's bad, but
yeah,
whatever. It is what it is. But I do feel lucky that I can still go perform, even though I haven't been on an audition in God knows how long. And who knows when my health insurance is going to run out because I haven't done any,
right?
Yeah. This is all stuff that was shot last year.
Auditioning is a muscle as well. That's a whole nother. I used to coach actors in Los Angeles for pilot season and things like that. But approaching those, it's like a whole, multicam, single cam. It's all like a different animal.
Ryan, there's nothing like being in the room. Like, that's what I miss. You're going to get the essence of the person. And you do it, and then the people, the director or the producer will be like, okay, that's great. What we're looking for is, we don't even know what they're looking for.
Yes, exactly.
These stupid videos, and people do it over and over and over and over again. It's awful.
Yeah. I mean, it really is. And I mean, I part of me at first was like, oh, great. I don't have to go down to like Ocean Park in Santa Monica and drive an hour to go for a commercial for like Folgers coffee. But then you realize what an essential part of that is, just to even commiserate with other non-working actors.
Right. You see your brothers and sisters there, and you get to meet a casting director. And they get to say, oh, he's not good for that. But you make an impression. Yeah, but we could use him in the, suppository commercial.
That's that's my big claim to fame, that and the young listeners. As we start winding down here, I did want to ask, it just popped in my head, what's the longest you've gone without doing stand-up?
It was the pandemic. Let's see, it was in March. I think it was 2 months because the first thing I did was at a drive-in movie theater on a flatbed truck.
I went to a show like that where it was like in your car, put your like window down.
They had the audio going through the radio, the stereo. So the audience would laugh by flashing their headlights. It was unbelievable. Okay. They would flash their headlights.
That's insane.
So I think it was 2 months. And then we started doing shows on Zoom. So I felt lucky. And then I was doing shows outside during the summer. So I think about 2 months. Yeah.
But were you going up a effing wall? Like, were you like 2 months without doing something that you're so used to doing?
I had never taken a break so part of me was like, oh, so this is what people do in their, like, I had never stayed home after dinner.
These are my kids?
Yeah. Wait, so we're going to sit and watch TV, so it was like, I loved it in a way. It was like this forced break, but yeah, I couldn't wait. Oh my God.
Yeah. And also, so your podcast too, Kill Me Now with Judy Gold. Every week you do an episode, and you just got back from Sweden a couple weeks ago. Which, by the way, I love. I'm going to incorporate this. You said you brought back gifts for everybody, but you called them prizes. I don't know why that stuck in my head.
Oh,
but I love that. Like, you got a prize.
Oh, I always say that to who wants their prizes. I call gifts prizes.
the other thing fun, I would say,
right?
No, it's totally. I mean, it's like I'm going to use that, and then
gift is gift. Here's a gift, and you're like, oh fuck! What if I hate it? Like, what if I have to write a thank you to? Like, I'll I'm like, oh Lisa, I got you some prizes. Henry, I got you some prizes. Ben, I got you some. Yeah, I always do that.
And then you were complaining about, I think it was your son and his girlfriend staying at your apartment, and these flipping phone chargers that always get moved and get stolen. I mean, family especially will steal chargers completely.
No, here's the thing. You're 22 and 27, and you come over, and you think everything is yours. You think, it's unbelievable. And so they're living here. My chargers are missing. I came home after 3 months. There was no fucking toilet paper.
No, I was like, yeah, I've done that to my parents, and now I'm getting to an age where people are doing it, and they feel free to do it. There's no remorse. There's not even a
I was so
asking or
afraid
an
of my
apology.
parents. I was afraid of them. They don't give a fuck.
And finally, you said something on your podcast that really stuck with me, and I thought this was really beautiful. You were talking about the two kinds of hope, passive and aggressive hope. And I didn't know if you could explain to the audience really quickly what you meant by that.
Well, I heard someone speak about that in Sweden, because they were talking a lot about, there was a Jewish portion of the book fair, and a lot of books about the Holocaust. And there's this book, The Light of Days, and it's about women who resisted in the Holocaust. And there was another guy there who wrote another book about the resistance. And he said, there's two kinds of hope. There's the hope of the resistors, that I'm gonna fight this, and I'm gonna win, and I'm gonna go at this full force. And there's that hope. And then there's the hope that the people who didn't do anything, that's a different kind of hope. The people that, their kids would say, we have to get out of here. This is, and them hoping, and the hope of, no, that would never happen. No, those people would never do that to us. We're German. And so I thought that those two different kinds of hope, one being helpful and one not so helpful. I found that so hope. Fascinating.
Yeah.
And the national anthem of Israel is Hatikva, which means hope. And so, we're really nothing without hope.
Yeah, I was thinking about that all morning, and it actually gave me hope to hear you talk about it. Also, like I said, if you want to disassociate, if you want to laugh, and I think right now is the time to laugh.
Please, yes.
If you want to support a independent film with young ladies, with this is a great film to do that with. It's video on demand. I'm going to put out all the ways that you can get it. It is called Tripped Up. It is out right now by the time you're hearing this. And, I revere you, Judy Gold. Thank you so much.
Ryan, you're so nice.
Truly looking forward to this for the last week once I found out I got to talk to you. So I hope to get to meet you one day and talk to you again, but this has just been truly a treat for me.
Thank you. I had so much fun.
Thank you so much, Judy.
You're welcome.